Looks like people are jumping in. Let's get started. So today, of course, we're doing our webinar here for your AgentBox CRM, and we're going to learn about how to set targets and track your performance wins. Now, the timing of this webinar has been intentional because, of course, the financial year is coming up. So we thought it'd be a great idea to have a look and a bit of a reset to track your performance of your AgentBox CRM. We'll be having a look at a various number of reports and looking at some savvy tools that you might like to look at when you are generating targets and tracking your business performance there too. So our audience anticipated today, this would be great for a sales manager. Agents, of course, absolutely welcome. You can run through how you track your own performance too. Admin teams would love this session as well there today. So if you do have questions, again, you do have the Q&A chat box in our Zoom. Eduarda, my panelist here, will be jumping in to assist you with anything that might come up there. Again, my name is Alex from AgentBox Training, and it's a joy to be here today. Let's have a look and see what we're covering on screen. Now, of course, today's webinar, we'll be looking at these 3 learning outcomes. We're having a look and gaining understanding of your AgentBox targets in your CRM. We'll also be establishing targets in AgentBox, so running through how that might look and work, and then some advice for tracking your team's performance throughout the upcoming financial year. We're looking at about a 40-minute webinar here today, so please feel welcome just to stick on. And then, of course, at the end, we'll run through your next steps, again, introducing our next webinar, which we'll run through then shortly. Now, just for an FYI, today's webinar, we will be uploading it in your user manual, so you will have access to rewatch this later on if you wish to do so. Lovely. Now, of course, before we get started, I just want to ask a question here. In terms of your use of AgentBox, let us know. We're going to have a bit of a quick poll, but we're just going to utilize the chat for today. Now, in terms of your AgentBox CRM, were you using the Performance tab? Now, in your AgentBox, have you seen the Performance tab? A simple yes or no in the chat is what we want to see. I can see some yeses. Yes from Eduardo. I'd hope so. That's awesome. Jude, Leslie, awesome. Big yeses from Leslie, actually. Yeah, excellent. Adam, excellent. I get to introduce this to you, so that's excellent. Not used yet, Ellie. Fabulous. Yeah, great. Well, we're definitely using what we call the performance report, but don't worry, I'll guide you through from what that looks like from fundamentally, how to access it, and then using it. We'll have a look at there in today's webinar. Now, we're going to have a look at, of course, targets. This is where we're going to start off by thinking. And we're going to think about how we're going to apply targets, just generally. As a business owner, of course, you'll be thinking about setting targets for teams, departments there. And we utilize the SMART method in AgentBox predominantly. Now, goal setting involves, defining specific measurable objectives to achieve a desired outcome within your business. In real estate, we do know it's crucial as it provides clear direction to your team, your businesses, helps prioritize those ongoing tasks that happens, in real estate. And if set correctly, they will motivate your team, your business, and your agents to stay focused and driven. So setting goals, of course, ensures that efforts are aligned with your business growth and client satisfaction, which is extremely important, leading to greater success in your local market there. So targets obviously have a big flow-on effect, of course, to your agent's performance. And look, when agents have specific goals, it not only clarifies what needs to be achieved, but also boosts their drive to reach these milestones. Achieving goals can lead to higher earnings, professional growth, of course, in their career, and significant motivators for real estate agents generally. Now, setting and accomplishing these targets will also enhance your, of course, team's self-esteem, job satisfaction. It's also going to help foster a competitive spirit, a sense of accomplishment within your agency, pushing agents to continually improve their skills and strategies, of course, ultimately leading into enhanced business performance and success, right? So that's why in AgentBox, we're thinking SMART. We're thinking about SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. All right, so specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. We use SMART goals. Now, of course, being specific, as you can imagine, it identifies exactly what you want to accomplish of that team or team member, whether it's increasing sales or it's commission, acquiring new listings, expanding your client base within your business as well. That's also a specific number that you can provide. A measurable goal basically allows you to track your team's performance and progress, providing motivation and opportunity for recalibration if necessary there too. Sometimes it might need to be tweaked throughout the year there, right? Making your goals achievable ensures they're realistic, attainable, which fosters confidence, of course, off the back of that and steady progress there. Without an achievable goal, it's a bit too far to see, right? Or at least needs to be broken down to achievable, bite-sized kinds of goals. Now, of course, relevance is absolutely crucial. Your goals must align with your broader business strategy, personal aspirations, of course, through an agent there too. Making them time-bound, of course, adds a sense of urgency, a bit of a deadline for your agents, which helps prioritize daily tasks in pursuit of your business long-term vision there. But of course, yeah, for real estate agents within the industry, SMART goals are not just a tool in AgentBox to keep in mind when setting it, but it's a roadmap to your future success of where you want to take the business with yourselves. SMART goals will keep you organized, focused, driven. Embracing SMART goals also means you're setting yourself and your agency up for achievements that are not only visible but substantial, ensuring that growth and stability in the competitive real estate industry that we know. Now, incorporating goals is just the beginning. An equally effective strategy is, of course, these objectives is breaking them down into smaller, manageable components. And that's how you can use your AgentBox system to apply those in. So, of course, it's going to help, approach seemingly daunting targets into achievable milestones, makes it just that much more achievable, and the journey towards that larger goal much more less overwhelming, right? So you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel a bit easier. Now, that's a SMART goal there. I have a few questions for everyone that's jumping into today's webinar. Is this a SMART goal? What do you think? Pop it in the chat. Is this a SMART goal? Yes or no? What do we think? Philip's goal is to complete more appraisals. All right, Philip. We want more appraisals. Is that a SMART goal? No, it's actually not. There's no time-bound measure on this, right? Yeah, it's not specific enough exactly. How many appraisals are we doing? So we need to think about the actual number there. It's not really, yeah, exactly right, Ellie. It's not really that smart. We could take it to another level. Let's take it to another level. All right, is this a SMART goal now? We've added Philip's goal is to complete 10 more appraisals. What do we think? Yes or no in the chat, guys? No, yeah, still some opportunities from Adam. Yeah. Agreed. Again, there's no time-bound component. It's better, correct, Ellie, but it could be improved once more. All right, we're looking a bit more specific now. So Philip's goal is to complete 10 more appraisals by June 30th. Okay, it's June 18th now, 2024. He's got a few weeks to do that. But yeah, it's looking better now. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, it is a bit more of a SMART goal there. Perfect. And look, let's apply this into AgentBox. We have an understanding of SMART goals, of course, now, but let's bring it back to why we're here. We're looking at the adaptation within your CRM to make this work for you in your own CRM. So on the screen, I'm going to log into my AgentBox system now. Now, you're welcome to follow along if you are there in the office there on a second computer or a second screen. However, what we're going to have a look at is accessing staff profiles first off. In my system, I'll navigate to my main menu, which is my office just down here below. By clicking on My Office, you have access to see your staff members if you click on Search. Now, if you click on a staff card's name, you may or may not have access to this area, depending on your permission level that's already been set up. As a master user like myself, I absolutely can. Targets is next, and you will see that you can access this across the board with your targets there. And this is where you can apply those goals. Now, you do have a number of columns, and we'll work through each of these in today's webinar in a bit more detail of how you can get exact reports and get some numbers to apply these into your next 2024 financial year 2025, I should say rather. Now, when setting goals, you do have a breakdown on the monthly basis here. January 2024, for example, is the first one here, but we're of course in June. So we can see here it's broken down by a monthly goal. each quarter, you will have a calendar year quarter total as well. This is not an editable section, but it's going to calculate based off your entries of targets in these columns. Now, in terms of accessing some of these key reports within your system that we're about to go through to apply and create some targets for the team, there are some permissions that I do want to introduce to you just to make sure that whoever is accessing these reports should have. So we'll go across to the Access tab of a staff card. And you may or may not have access to do or action this. Again, a master user like myself can, but reporting permissions is so key here to make sure that maybe a sales manager can report on behalf of the sales team if you create that up, or report on behalf of Office, having access to Office reports or everything, depending on your permission and agent box system setup. You may or may not need those permissions there, but allowing this to maybe your sales manager will give them the tools that they need to actually report and create those targets anyway. All right. Bit of an introduction there to staff cards and targets and permissions related, but let's have a look at, of course, an extra tool that some of you in this chat room, in this webinar, haven't seen yet before as well, the Performance tab. The Performance tab is this main menu icon over here with this graph going upwards, of course, where you can track your team's performance and business performance based on those permissions that you've been provided. Now, your Performance tab is a great way to see some quick stats. If you scroll down, of course, you've got even more to view. But we'll start at the top, literally on the top left, filters. Depending on what you'd like to view, maybe you'd like to track now 2024 performance for the last financial year instead of calendar year. Apply those filters and you can see those numbers kicking through. Calendar year, of course, can be decided if you choose that, or even calendar half year 2. So the first 6 months, next 6 months. Similarly with the financial year, you can break it down by H1 and H2. You can break it down by quarterly goals if you'd like. Maybe you'd like to reference financial year quarter 1 if you're looking to have the first 3 months target set out after our webinar today. Or if you just like to see, we'll start off with a monthly July target. Let's see how we did this time last year and create some targets for your team this way. You can absolutely do that there too. I also find that your Performance tab is a great place to do a bit of a self-health check there as well. If you're looking for missing entries, maybe it's worth reviewing if your team are using Agent Box that way correctly. Additional filters you can have. Now, sales unconditional date will predominantly be your default here, depending on your configuration setup. However, of course, this is the stage at which sales listings data feed into this report. And further, maybe you'd like to have not just everyone's performance, again, based on your permissions that's been applied. You might like to filter to the entire system, an office, if you are set up with different offices. You can report on teams, so sales team A or whoever it might be, or right down to the agent if you'd like to instead. Just Alex's performance. There's one example here today we can check. That's your Performance tab. Now we will go into a little bit more detail here as well in just a moment. But one thing that I do want to introduce you to is the graphs. The graphs. If you like me, I love a good graph. Now you can come across here and see that you do have a number of numbers here, columns and numbers, but the graph over here is going to give you a visual representation of the data points. For example, if we click on number of appraisals in the last financial year, we've got 195. This does not reflect how the monthly performance was. However, the graph will demonstrate this. If you haven't seen this already, be amazed in just a moment. Now, of course, you've got July. We've got 14 appraisals there. That's happened in July. December wasn't too bad, 26. But if you'd like to use this Performance tab for generating some targets, use the comparison tool for various other data points. One such example is financial year versus the previous financial year. We can see the difference and notice the trends as well throughout. Number of appraisals, so August last year versus the year before, we can see that it is a high month. So maybe we can aim for higher. Maybe for February, we really dropped the ball for the most recent, year that we've just gone through for February. So we can see we could have pushed higher. That's another tip there, but we'll go into that in a bit more detail. One more introduction as well is the total column versus the split column. Now, total column versus split, there's two different number columns here. Now, the total, of course, is going to include conjunctional agent fees. So the split is minus that. So really the split column, if you are using conjunctional agents, for example, is probably the most accurate number that you'll get for the total deductions taken out of there, if there's any conjunctional agents as one example. Lovely. Let's set some targets together, everybody. So if we have a look at the top right corner, you can quickly access your own profile here by clicking on My Profile, Targets, and let's have a look at some of these targets that we'd like to apply. Now, I popped in some numbers here already, but the first column is new contacts. Now, you can set a target for your team to create new contacts, and this is all about making sure that that agent or team is getting out there, meeting people, networking, and introducing themselves to the local market as their number one real estate agent, right? So new contacts is, of course, important. AgentBox has that two database kind of areas. So you've got your contact database and also your listing database. For your contact database, you want to make sure that new contacts are being added in as you naturally go out there, go to the pub, meet some vendors or whatever it might be, you never know, and you're adding them into your AgentBox CRM. Now, how does this look in AgentBox? It's as simple as adding a adding a contact card there. If you are adding in a new contact, you'd come across to Universal Search Bar, check if they're in the system already. Bob. As we do have a number of Bobs, you might like to check via mobile or last name, full name. But if they're not in the system, add a new contact. And so therefore, by adding a new contact, and if I'm still assigned as a level of owner on that contact card, one new contact will be added to my target as achieved. I'll just repeat that again. Add a contact, make sure you're still assigned on that contact card. And so one new contact has contributed to that new contact target. All right. You don't need to be primary owner as such there, depending on your configuration setup there as well. But simply pop in Bob's details, unique identifier, such as a mobile, email address, or home address. Pop in any other mandatory details like prospective vendor. We want to make sure that we're tagging them so we can find them later on. Subscribe them to any relative marketing such as newsletters. And then I've added Bob Smithy, and that's going to contribute one new contact added towards my staff card targets. Now, our agents are often out and about. A good agent is rarely in the office, as we say, right? So when we click in the mobile app, you can add a new contact as well, which will also contribute to your new contacts target. This is your AgentBox app here on screen. Now, your AgentBox app, of course, will have your main menu looking a little bit different. You do have your home screen here down below. You do have your search tool just to follow that to search for existing data, or for example, the plus icon. This is to add new data, such as a new contact. Adding a new contact, the same workflow applies on your AgentBox app. First name, where this would be Bob Smithy. And then again, unique identifier, such as a mobile, email, or home address. You can pop in additional details there as well, hit save, and then you've added a new contact card, and that will contribute to your new contact KPI there. Now that's the functionality of adding in a new contact there too, but if we are going to reference the existing data that was already in your AgentBox system about how many new contacts were added this time last year, I recommend starting off at your Performance tab. Now, again, new contacts, we'll find that here if we scroll down here below. number of new contacts for the last financial year is 180. I might actually change that to calendar year just to kind of mix up the numbers so we can see different one. Number of new contacts, 109 this time. So of course, we're still in June. May was a killer month for us. Let's compare this to this time last year. Wonder where July is going to appear. All right, so it looks like we were trending down this time last year for new contacts added. Maybe we can give them a bit of a higher goal than 4. Maybe we dropped the ball or something happened. Have a think about this time last year. But then August, I can see we did naturally spike to 23 new contacts that came in though. So of course, you can see those trends coming through and plan for them a bit better now with your performance tab. Another report that you might like to use for this first target for new contacts is coming across into your pie graph reports, and you do have a number of contact reports available in your AgentBox system. Now think about how they're created. They're sourced from. What's the most popular and way of contacts are being added in? You can find your top lists of contacts being created in. Maybe it's worth focusing on where you're most successful at in the next 12 months there instead, if you weren't already there too. Pop in your filter dates, and your report can say, great, 39% of coming from open homes, 31% was not reported. Maybe this is a training opportunity with my team to make sure that they're assigning the contact source when adding in a contact there too. That's just an idea of referencing and reviewing your data. All right, let's have a look at the next target example, call attempts. Now, new contacts being added in is one thing, but getting out there and interacting with your contacts is just the other side of the coin, right? Making sure they're using the data, otherwise it's just sitting there not being used. So logging calls in AgentBox will help you identify if your contacts are being worked. So logging those call attempts can be done a number of ways. Look up the contact card, and again, I'll go to Bob Smithy, who we just added and met in the system. And a manual call log is just a matter of clicking the phone icon and making a note that you have made that phone call. All right. So category, phone call outbound. While you're at it, pop in your connection status. This actually has a direct flow-on effect to your next target, call connections. If you mark connected, you can do 2 logs in one here. All right. Outcome, connected, headline, call, new prospect, new potential prospect, I might say. Finding out address. Making sure that you're assigned to it so you can have that target, number added to your target completion. Assign property, well, it's a new prospect, so that wouldn't make sense. And of course, I always recommend putting in a task off the back of it, so you've always got a next step running, of course, there. I'm going to follow up in another week. I'll hit save. And that has now been added towards a call attempt and also a call connection, as I've connected, but I haven't made a task off the back of that there too. All right. Now, of course, another tool that you might like to have a look at for these call attempts to track that it's actually been completed is in your contacts menu. You have, of course, your advanced contact search also available. Now, your advanced contact search is a way you can build a list of people, if not even for a call list directly to print off and tick as you work through, right? So advanced search. And what we're going to do is have modified from or last contacted filters that you can apply. Maybe you'd like to have contacts that haven't yet been interacted from the 1st of June, and you'll see a list of people, Justin Bieber, thank you, Justin, and you can print this off as a bit of a call list if you'd like there anyway. Alternatively, you can work off this computer desktop version if you'd like to make a phone call. Logging phone calls here instead, you can do there as you work through this call list. Another tip about making call logs even more accessible, especially for your agents, is utilizing your Agent Box app. Now, what I will do is jump into my Agent Box app and find Bob Smithy again. I'll click on search. Well, it's contacts there, and I'm finding Bob Smithy. There's Bob. And in your Agent Box system, you can make the call. By clicking on the phone icon, you can see the last note that, of course, we've just logged together anyway. If you make the call through your Agent Box app, which will go through your number that it's connected to, of course, the Agent Box app after the phone call will say, great, how did you go? Let's make a note of that. So it's even easier to make these log calls too. We'll click on connected. And again, call for potential prospect scheduled follow-up call. There's Bob Smithy. I'll add a follow-up for next week at about 2:30. I'll hit save, and we've made a call, log the call, log the next step for your tasks feature there to be prompted you as well. Alrighty, now I haven't seen too many questions. Don't be afraid. If you have any questions, please feel welcome to use that Q&A box, everybody that's joining in today, and we can help you out. Otherwise, we're going to have a look at the next one here, which is your next type of target. That is your number of appraisals. Now, as we naturally know, contacts, meeting the people, interacting with the people will then hopefully eventuate in a new appraisal there too, if they're interested in having their property appraised. Now, a number of appraisals is a great goal, of course, to have. So you can stimulate the listing sale, getting out there and finding the right people that are looking for an appraisal there too. So set number of appraisals as a goal. Now, as a tip of adding appraisals, there are a number of ways to add that into the system. Now, the quickest way is generally through the Quick Plus icon. You can add a prospect property or an appraisal by following the prompts, so the address, bedrooms, bathrooms, and then you can add an appraisal as a next step off the back of adding that brand new listing. So that's really important for your BDMs to know how to do that there. So that's Quick Plus, and for a new business deal, new appraisal / prospect and follow the prompts. Alternatively, of course, you can find your prospects that you do have, all my properties, and view all my prospect properties. And you can convert your prospects into an appraisal. So it's entering your current pipeline, and it's actually a current one there by coming across to prospect, status, and convert appraisal. But the main thing is that when you do have an appraisal in the system, add an appraisal also there, is that you're assigned as an appraisal agent. On your agents and contacts tab, you will be automatically, if you are converting it or adding that into the system there too, but please double check it if there's any other appraisal agents there that should have some, recognition for appraising. Maybe it's one or divided by a couple of agents there as well. You can have that kind of added to their targets too as a, yes, I was also appraising this property. In terms of your performance tab though, number of appraisals we've seen here too is 75 for the last calendar year. Again, let's reference those graphs. Now I can see May was again a really good one, which is kind of interesting there too, because we did compare it to new contacts added into the system as well. We're seeing a direct correlation. New contacts generally means more appraisals, as we can see. But instead of comparing it to number of new contacts, we can also compare it to the number of appraisals that were entered in the previous year. Well, February doesn't look as good this year for us, we can see. It's gone a bit down. We've got 10 this year, but the year before we actually did 25. I wonder why. So this is the kind of things you need to think about when you are setting some goals and targets. But I can see that in August, I'm looking to have 27 as I want to beat that number goal. Another tip, again, for your appraisal targets, We're going to go into your reports again. So sorry for jumping, guys, but I just can't help but giving you all the data methods. In reports, you do have, of course, in your agent reports, appraisal reports also available. I'm going to filter a month, maybe just May. And maybe we want to as well have a look at missed appraisals there. This report is helping me identify the listings, appraisals in May that we missed. So you can save this report as well and locate your missed appraisals as well as a next step, making sure they've got a next step touch point available. That way, of course, you can see what is not being successful as a missed status. We can even go to cancelled. So maybe the vendor withdrew of appraising that property. We can see those numbers coming here too. So you can definitely have a look at your appraisal reports just to kind of understand what was successful or how many did actually go through and otherwise there too to see those numbers. Now, similarly with appraisals, as it's now in the pipeline as an appraisal, you can convert this into a presentation. Your current pipeline, of course, are your listings you're currently working on. So you've got 269 appraisals here. I'm doing very well as an agent, by the way. But if you convert them to a presentation, you can convert it to say, great, I'm going to present my appraisal findings and put this particular listing in its presentation status. Once the appraisal is successful, goes ahead, they've signed the deal, you can get the appraisal then to move across to a listed pending status instead. The reason why I encourage though that if you are looking to do targets, especially appraisal targets, you need to make sure that everyone in the business is doing that correct process. Otherwise, there will be no reporting at the end of next financial year available. They need to have those appraisals added in and converted so that appraisal get contributed. But similarly to appraisals, your presentations is much the same. So I'll just repeat that there because that was a long sentence. You do have two different statuses, appraisals and presentations. You can utilize presentations there, but you need to make sure that the team are converting it through the presentation to pending if you would like to have an extra value of how many presentations you're doing too. To visualize this, it's just a matter of changing it to presentation when the time is right. Listing bypasses that stage, which agents can do, of course, with the permission set. So if you are looking to have that reporting on presentation, they need to do that too. Lovely. In terms of calculating those presentations, we'll go to the Performance tab, and of course you do have number of presentations available here. Similarly with presentations is as of course when they go across into the listing status, you want to have how many number of listings the team has got. So new listings is the goal here. We can click on the graph, new listings hitting the market. But if you'd like a bit more of a detailed breakdown of those listings, I'm just going to minimize my screen here. Great. If you click on the actual 83, here are new listings rather, you'll be given a proper breakdown of those new listings in further detail. You'll even, of course, have a listing search price and total and average prices there as well available. All right. Next one here is, of course, number of sales. So we want to make sure that we are selling the property. So properties sold is the next area of your performance report that you would reference this. Again, clicking on the graph, you can see how many are coming through. But if you're looking to have, of course, maybe a cross-reference to gross commission, start off with gross commission written here, which you can see how many is coming through with your your year. And you can start generating some gross commission written targets off the back of your number of sales targets. Bit of a tongue twister, that one. Lovely. We can see the average number of gross commission written here. That's been popped into your agent box system. And hopefully it's as good as this one, 341.2. But of course, you can compare that to this time last year and see the trends when you're creating those numbers. Fantastic year in September last year. It looks like I sold a block of units or something there. Nice. In your performance tab though, the main message here though is that this is available for you now to reference. You're already using your AgentBox CRM. Now at this point of time for the next targets, you want to have a look and see how you did use it, were there any opportunities and was it used correctly? If so, how did you perform and apply those targets there too? Now, more often than not, I see as well team targets. You might have a single staff card available here with your own targets, but agencies often work in teams. Now, if you do have a team goal, another tip off the back of setting your goals is confirm the goal as a team, divide and conquer. So don't do it all yourself, divide that team goal and apply it on your staff targets here. Another tip, when you are creating your targets off the back of your performance reports there, work backwards is another great tip. Now, of course, gross commission. Agents are often motivated by money. So maybe start off with that gross commission conversation. Where do you want to see yourself at X period? And then how many number of sales do you need to make that commission? All right. How many listings do you need to make all those sales? How many appraisals or presentations do you need to make to have a listing? How many call connections or new contacts do you need to have to get an appraisal? So you work your way backwards off that ultimate goal, and then you might like to work your way towards within a greater goal of improving that the team's targets across the next financial year. All right. Now, again, I did say this at the start, your targets are also available for your entire team to access there. However, I recommend after this session, if you're looking to do this within your team, maybe setting this up as a team meeting and then working to do and apply these together when you're setting the goals is another idea. Look, don't set and forget your targets is another tip when you are using your targets area. There are a number of ways that you can access your targets throughout the year just to see your ongoing progress. The first way is your main desktop. You can see team goals, agent goals. You can filter right down to a person if you'd like and see how many you need to do today to reach your monthly goal. How many new contacts I need to create this week to reach my monthly goal. How am I going per month? I've only done 3%, so I've got to do another, let's have a look at that tiny, tiny writing, 58 new contacts to reach my monthly goal. Financial year, you can see however you are going from the financial year. As an example, while it might look like it's red here, overall, as a team Davis, you can see that we've actually exceeded the appraisal. So maybe a readjustment of those appraisals to maybe bump those up higher for the next financial year. Your AgentBox app also has access to your targets. In the bottom right corner, you will see these 3 dots down here. Your agents can track how they're performing on their targets tab over here. Again, for myself, how many number of new contacts do I need to make to reach to my monthly goal, weekly goal, monthly goal, financial year, and then lastly, calendar year. Tracking your targets is also just as important, especially having monthly, fortnightly meetings as a team just to see how your performance is. Use your AgentBox CRM reports to build those target reports. In your pie graph over here, you can access your reports, and for your sales team meetings, have a look at your targets. You can see, for example, target report for Alex. You can see how many new numbers of contacts that I've added in. So total was 10. Actual new contacts is 5 within this period. So that's a 50% conversion rate. I've just filtered to a person, but you can absolutely filter to a team. All right, team, how are we performing for June? We can see we really dropped the ball in new contacts being added in. So this is how you can ongoing reference and measure your performance throughout the next financial year with your targets report. All right. And look, of course, the next thing is over the next maybe few months, you might want to keep checking to see if these are ongoing, achievable, realistic, or are they too achievable? Stretch goals, adjust throughout the year. That way you can continually motivate your team and making sure those targets are always up to date with your team's performance, behaviors there as well. So you can make sure that they have something to strive for and are kind of excited towards something there too, especially if it's commission. Everyone loves a bit of extra moolah on the side, right? Nice. Some other usage reports that you might like to reference is how are they using AgentBox? Are the team actually using it correctly? Why don't we check out another key report there is in your reports menu, database usage report. Depending on, of course, your access there, we can see. Let's have a look over the last 30 days. You can see how many contacts were added, or maybe even with a mobile. You can see, of course, how many were modified. So you do have the access to see and even some total numbers there. Quickly, I can see that my colleague Simon is really using the system. However, John has really not been adding in too many contacts, but I can find that here quickly now with this report. And lastly, you have your gross commission leaderboard. Now, this is, of course, going to show you, for this example, the top 5 agents that's earning the most commission. Now, this is subject to permissions again, everybody. So with your relative permissions, you may or may not have access to this. As an example, my colleague Natasha is killing it this year. She has got the most commission so far in my agency. I'm coming third, but I'm going to come second, at least first by the end of June. I know it. Some recommended tips that I wanted to share with you from today's webinar. So review your performance tabs and reports. I provided a little bit of an introduction to how you can find this information here within your AgentBox CRM, but have a look, at least get comfortable at this point after the webinar today to find this information. Do some test searches there, comparison reports as well, give that a go in those various reports. Now set targets based on the performance and your business goals. What's happening over the next 12 months and apply it into your AgentBox system. Sit with your team, have a chat, just have a frank convo, see what they're looking to achieve, apply it into AgentBox, set it up. If not, at least for the first 3 months, and give that a crack. Some other tips: set a recurring reminder event to review your performance. You might like to have that as a task set up in your AgentBox system every 3 months as well, just a reference there too. And if you're bringing reports to your meetings, you can access maybe your target report, database usage reports that we've seen there as well. Bit of a reminder though, within our AgentBox system, we're a part of a wider AgentBox or Reapit community. We have AgentBox, AgentBox Digital, Console Cloud, and Inspect Real Estate, which has a lot of reporting tools throughout our Reapit products there. So similarly with AgentBox, apply this to Console, Inspect Real Estate if you're looking to set some goals off the back of those ones there too. If you're looking to have some more team consultation, you can let us know at AgentBox Training. So that's training@agentbox.com.au. If you want us to sit with you or your sales managers to help you find the targets and help you running through your system, we certainly can. Let us know. But a bit of a recap of what we covered today. A lot of information from our webinar today, so apologies for that, but we had a bit of an understanding of targets, applying them into your AgentBox system, and we followed through with some advice for tracking your team's performance over the next financial year. Now, our next webinar is going to look closer at that relationship process. So nurturing relationships, which of course, as you do with real estate, you're nurturing relationships, and that's where it all starts, with your rapport with your clients. Scan this QR code to join in on our next webinar. It's going to be on July 16th at 2 p.m. My colleague Ricardo will be hosting that one there, but we'll go into about how we can nurture relationships in your AgentBox CRM, a little bit more detail. But of course, Eduarda, we've also got Eduarda on the line. We can answer some more questions there too if you do have any more. But she's just going to pop in a CSAT survey link. I would love to hear your feedback from today's webinar, from my learnings here today. Let us know if this is something that you like to keep learning more about, or if there's anything that we could do to improve our webinars. All feedback is certainly welcome, so let us know. Thank you, Eduarda, for popping that in. Hit that SurveyMonkey URL and please let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback, of course. But one more thing Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. We really appreciate your attendance there. Join us for next time there too. But yeah, let us know, of course, if you have any more questions. We'll stick on the line for a couple more minutes there. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ellie. Thanks, Bree. Thanks, Harry. All good. Thank you. Cheers. See you next time, everybody. Now, Ellie, I'm still here. Question about changing the status of a property. I might just bring that back on screen so we can have a look at that one together. Ellie. And the question was, I'll just turn my camera back on so we can see that I'm here, a real person, Ellie. Hello. Changing the status of a property. Changing from appraisal to listing, what you did on the demo. You got your property duplicated. Interesting. So when you convert your listing card from appraisal, from status in here, or was it from the prospect property, the first point that it might have started? Yes, okay. So maybe, of course, have a look at your address. I would say that your prospect property might have one address and maybe there might be a full stop even there as well. If you are changing a prospect property to an appraisal, it will go in and consider it's a new address if it's not matching that previous one that might have already been in your pipeline. So that could have been the issue there. Ellie, I might give you a buzz just after our webinar so we can have a look at it in more detail one-on-one if that's okay. So I've got your email here from today's webinar. I'll shoot you an email with my details. All good. All right. Looks like there's no more questions, so I might close this webinar. Thank you all for again attending. Ellie, I'll give you a bit of a buzz after today. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for attending.